Sega Master System. In this one, we just assume that Sarah left the whole village and, you know, just disappears from that. But actually you find out in the Sega Master System version that she was actually murdered. Our second dungeon, the Abandoned Mine, is located in the upper right area of the map. Enter into this cave and now we're inside the Abandoned Mine, which can be a real pain, especially considering it's so dark and you have a very short range in order to see. There's lots of items included in this Abandoned Mine, and I will be getting all but one of the items. The only item I will not be getting is the time ring. It is located on this floor, but I will not be grabbing it. What it does is it slows down the enemies when you have it equipped. The thing is, it's very useless, pretty much, because even though it slows them down, it's not very helpful, and it's much better to have either the power or armor ring equipped, much more so than the time ring. So if you do want it, though, it is located on this floor if you want to hunt that one down, but it's not important and you will not need it for any portion of the game. You also saw I got my first item of the Abandoned Mine, the silver armor. I made sure to equip that. Much better than the armor I previously had equipped. Our goal now is to make it to the second area of the mine, which will have a few different items that we need to pick up, which also includes both the Neutopia seed that we need, and the silver harmonica that we need to give the lair in order to get the next book of Ys. I am sure I'm going to make a mistake or two while going through certain dungeons in these games. I may make a wrong turn here or there. I think I've already made a couple. But I'm going to try to do my best to go straight to each item and get right to the boss. But especially in Ys 2, it's almost impossible sometimes to remember exactly where you're supposed to go. The Solomon Shrine is one of the most confusing mazes if you don't know where you're going. And even if you do know where you're going, it's still very easy to make a mistake and end up going to a complete area that you didn't want to have anything to do with. In this chest is the Neutopia seed, the first of the items we needed on this floor, so now we just have to track down the silver harmonica. However, before we get that silver harmonica, there is one other item that you don't necessarily need to pick up, but can be very, very useful, and that is the heal ring. What the heal ring allows you to do is when you equip it, it automatically starts replenishing your health as long as you're standing still. It does not replenish your health while in boss battles, but if you're training especially, and I'll be using it probably a lot in the final dungeon of the game, when you get low on health, especially like I am right now, all I have to do is equip the heal ring, and you'll see that my health starts to instantly replenish. The only thing is, of course, that you have to be standing still for it to work, so it's going to take a few seconds every time that I have to heal in order to get my health back up. But once you get your health back up, make sure to re-equip either your power ring or the armor ring, whichever one you prefer. Located all the way over here on this left side is the silver harmonica. So, before we can continue on in the Abandoned Mine, what we have to do now is head all the way back to Mania Village, backtracking through everything that we've already been through, going back up a floor and then back out, in order to give the silver harmonica the lair, get that next Ys book, and then we'll work our way back into here and go to the other depths of this mine in order to get eventually to the bottom floor and face the boss of this area. Once you make your way back to Mania Village, head all the way to the upper right corner where we met with Lara the first time. She'll still be standing there. And talk to her now. She'll of course thank you for giving her her silver harmonica back. She'll give you a special tune that we'll have to remember for later on. And then we'll also be getting our next book of Ys. Before I leave the town though, head back to that shop where we sold the items earlier and buy yourself a wing. Now what the wing will allow you to do is instantly travel out of a dungeon once you're inside of it. So it'll help us once we get to the bottom of the abandoned mine, we'll be able to come all the way back to the town without having to backtrack all the way through it. They do cost a lot of money though, so you can't just stock up on them and make sure that you have plenty of them every time that you enter one dungeon. However, before we go back into the mine, it's time to get a new weapon. Walk over to this tree and you'll actually be able to talk to it. The Rototree seed that we got located inside of the mine allows us to do this. He'll tell us about a secret of Asteria that there's a silver sword buried at the foot of another tree. So, where is that other tree? Well, it's just a little bit south of this area. Make your way south a little bit and you'll soon run into another one of the big trees. Once again, walk up to it in order to have another conversation with it. Once our conversation is done with the tree, we end up getting the silver sword. Of course, make sure to equip your new item, and then head into the mines again. As we make our way back through the mine in order to get back to the second floor and then even farther down, eventually making it to the boss, I will need to get some money in order to buy two items that you may not necessarily think you need. Both of the items are the reflex armor and the large shield. Now when you look at your equipment, you're going to see that the reflex armor and large shield are worse than the two items that we already have equipped. However, we will need those items when we get to the final dungeon. In the final dungeon, you end up making it in there, and what happens is, for a portion of time, you lose all the silver equipment that you have equipped. So if you do not have the reflex armor and large shield, you'll have to go back down to the second armor we ever bought, as well as that first shield that we got, so that we'll actually have some equipment. So it's much better just to spend the 12,000, buy the reflex armor, buy the large shield, and you'll have less of a headache once you lose all your silver equipment in the final dungeon. The good news is, you will be able to get all the silver equipment back, but you have to track it down within the final dungeon. One thing good though is since I got all the items the first time I came into the mine, I only need to get one more item before I can go into the boss room, which is the key that opens, of course, the boss room itself. Okay, we're now on the third floor of the mine. There's only one more floor, which is the boss room itself. There's only one item that we need to get, and the floor layout is relatively easy compared to the previous two floors, so at least this one's not too bad. While making your way through, of course, try to be careful of the enemies, but since we do have the healing ring, we will be able to replenish our health before we even enter that boss room. Okay, we make our way around this little bit of water here, go to this chest, open it up to get the Dharm key. So now it's time to head to the boss room here.